Welcome to the podcast. It's Keenan here live from Mexico. It's Wednesday, April 9th. No clue when this podcast will come out because editing takes about 3-4 hours. How you doing, everybody? It's Keenan. I'm not in a bad mood at all, which is a rare thing for me. I'm here with in a new Airbnb covered in glass. All I see is glass. It's like this tall glass door. I don't know, in covering. It opens as a door to the terrace. It's a small, tiny studio, but covered in glass and wood. So it feels like you're in this little cabin, peaceful oasis in the middle of a bustling city, Mexico City, known as quite a large city. Although, a little side note, people say it's the biggest city, and, it has about 22 million. But people, it's just a little bit of a misconception because I think people think that's within the city limits, but that's actually the metropolitan area, which actually puts it on par with the size of New York. I didn't know that. I assumed it was much bigger than New York. And if you think about it, kind of not. Within the borders of Mexico City, this, by the way, was not part of the podcast at all. Wasn't part of the plan. I do have a plan when I sit down and make these podcasts. You wouldn't know it necessarily. But within the borders of the city is about 9 million. I'm not looking it up. Within the borders of New York City, about 8 million, a little more. New York City metropolitan area, about 22 million. Mexico City metropolitan area, about 22 million. That's just an interesting fact. Those are the two cities. Those are the only cities I like to live in with an 8 to 22 ratio. All right, let's keep going with this podcast. Here I am. I've got this mobile podcast unit. I've got my branch that attaches, that screws on. It's actually a beautiful thing that I got. This is very Donald Trump. It's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Everyone, even if you don't have this little branch here, which is it's like an arm that you can, remember like woodworking class when you were growing up, and they attached like a wood, like not a doil or a dimwit, but a dongle. No, like something you got to screw in, to have your woodworking unit on the edge of the desk that you sort of have a pulley system. And anyway, you can adjust it so that it clamps. Clamp! That's the word I was looking for, clamp. Sorry to scream in your ear. It clamps onto anywhere you go. And so I've got my clamp and I got my microphone, my good high quality microphone, and that's attached to the clamp. And I set that up everywhere I go. And I got my Zoom recorder. I got it all, baby. And yet this podcast has no reviews, which I just, that is something I want to talk to you all about if you're listening, which I know people download this podcast. And I don't know if you're just making fun of me or saying that this guy's a schlub, but I'm not a schlub. Okay, I'm not a schlub, damn it. That's what I'm here to tell you. I mean, give me a review or something. I mean, I'm pouring my heart out on this podcast for you every week. And, well, actually, it's more like once a month, it's probably on me that I haven't gotten a lot of reviews because you got to be consistent. And so, anyway, I just want to let you know that, I have feelings too. And so, just let me know if you like the podcast. Nobody says much. Just let me know. Again, this is all about like OCD and anxiety and stuff that I'm really vulnerably opening up on. I mean, there are things I've said on this podcast that haunt me for days. The fact that I've said them and the fact that I've admitted them and the fact of how weird I feel that my mouth is as dry ice and I'm a comedian, and how weird that I feel and ashamed that I feel that I, have all these issues with just have all these issues with mental health that then bleed over to other issues in my life that don't even need to be problems, but because of your mental health problems, they become problems. And share them here, and it's like, obviously life is about living and being happy, and well, not happy, but life is about appreciating what you have, you know, and we all want to get to that place of gratefulness. So, anyway, to have a podcast that is through my struggles and through my issues of maybe not feeling grateful and through my issues of feeling a little bit hurt and a little bit, damaged and a little bit not where I want to be at age 40 is something I hope is relatable and is something I hope is healing to others. But if it's not, I'll just stop, you jerks. If you're really not going to give me a single review or a single, hey, good job, Keenan, that was helpful. All right, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding, but it needs more marketing and whatever. But because I hope this to be picked up somewhere, by like some streamer or something, so that we eventually have a lot of success. Maybe it'll get on Wix or something. All right, so next up, I'm here, obviously down in Mexico. I don't have my aloe vera juice to stimulate, because apparently that was from an Eastern medicine man in Vermont who ghosted me, who told me that if you drink coconut water and aloe vera juice for approximately 2 to 3 years, you might solve the imbalance in your body that's causing the dry mouth. So we would have to wait basically until I'm dead to find that out. But I am here because a dentist I went to the other day, I haven't gotten a cleaning in a while, but obviously I had to talk to her about my dry mouth. She told me to have frutos cítricos, citrus fruits. That stimulates the saliva. So I'm here with some orange slices. I'm also here with my prebiotic fiber powder with plus turmeric. By the way, turmeric, people say. Some people say turmeric. Get out of here. Turmeric. You don't need that optional R. If you're a turmeric person, might as well turn off this podcast right now. I don't even want your review. Ginger and Boswellia, whatever Boswellia is sounds like a country in Africa. So this is a new thing that I've been doing. This supports gastrointestinal health. And this is a very high quality prebiotic fiber. I'm working with a nutritionist. That's been the latest thing on a medical update. And we're working on my gut health. And more on that in a second. So I guess that transitions into the next thing. There's going to be a few. Let's just talk about the outline of this episode. How is everybody, by the way? Let me take a breath and have a sip of coffee. Here from my Airbnb in Mexico City with my little orange slice. So this episode, we have a new segment called Pop Culture of the Week. Which is going to be interesting because I'm not a big pop culture guy, especially in the gay world. If you ask me who's big right now, I'd be like Elton John. But I'm not a big pop culture guy because I've got too many of my own problems. I can't follow what's happening with, Britney Spears and, Donna Summer and everything. So, but I do watch shows on Netflix, and so we'll talk about that this week. We'll have a sponsor. Of course, we'll do the Weird, Hard, Scary, Stupid, the WHSS, and we'll wrap up for the episode. But first, as always, I'm going to start with a medication update. And we have sort of a 3-pronged medication update with you. Of course, I have anxiety and OCD, and that fuels a lot of my issues when it comes to comedy. Trying to perform comedy with a dry mouth is a tough thing. I'm sort of solving it and sort of dealing with it by through many things. Trying to be a stand-up comedian when you don't have saliva in your mouth, and you want to flow with people, and even talk to them with crowd work and sometimes your mouth gets distracted. And you're like, oh, I can't talk to these people. It's not going to be good. And then you're in your head. Meanwhile, I love what I do, and I'm good at what I do. But, I have some blockages. So that's tough when you can't kind of feel like you could be the best at what you do because you feel like you have blockages. And you got to kind of like try to get over that over time. If you're not going to stop the physical issue, you got to sort of deal with the mental issue, which is that understanding that we all have limitations. Some people have to be in a wheelchair and, be the governor of Texas. That's a real person. He's a crazy, crazy conservative. And I don't know how a wheelchair really stops you from being governor. So this is not a good example. So anyway, his name was Greg Abbott. So anyway, my mouth. One of the things that I've been realizing is, and this happened because I had an appointment at the dentist, and by the way, at this dentist, she kept saying in Spanish, she goes, "You eres el mejor, you're the best," because she would, try to clean my teeth, and I don't mind at all. I do whatever you want to me. I'm very tolerant of gum pain. I don't know what it is, but it's like, hit me. It's kind of pleasure inducing. A little bit of hit me in the gum there. A little bleeding in the gum. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of like, it's a little bit of pain that I like. Okay? That's a weird thing about me, that I don't mind going to the dentist. Hit me in that gum. It makes me feel alive. And that's very weird. People hate the dentist. I do not mind the dentist. Give me that little bit of numb pain after I leave. But nobody does that anymore because my teeth are so good, obviously, because I'm obsessed with my mouth. I take care of my teeth. I have an electric toothbrush. I floss. She's like, "You're the best." I'm like, "Yeah, give me a 5% discount, And it turns out that I was so good she liked me so much. She was a little flirty, I'm not going to lie to you. And she's a cutie, too. Not that I swing on that side of the fence. But hello, dentista. And, another side note, even if it's such a machismo language, Spanish, but when you have a profession, it always ends in an A. So you could be like el dentista for a man. Doesn't sound so masculine to me. But that's just what they do here. Pussies. Anyway, so she told me that, it's all the antidepressants you've been on for years. It might be causing the dry mouth because it shuts down. It's like it shuts down your salivary glands. So she suggests, which of course I've thought about, and I haven't been on antidepressants in the last couple of weeks, precisely for that reason. Maybe it's the antidepressants, which, especially one that I was on, citalopram, has that effect of making your mouth drier. But I had the dry mouth before I went on antidepressants, so I always thought, can't be that. However, maybe it made it worse. So she goes, "We're going to give you something called pilocarpine, something like that," and which I've thought about before. It's basically a salivary gland stimulant. It lets your salivary glands go. So I guess the idea would be you're just flowing out. You're just flowing out of just gushing, and see how that goes. The idea is like, the antidepressants have repressed your salivary glands for all these years, according to her, as their theory. So we have to get something to get it going. So this is like a boost to my salivary glands. This is absurd, what I've been doing. I mean, who knows if she's right or wrong? I'll just take what anyone says to me as the latest thing and use it as sort of, any doctor says something to me as their latest theory, and I'll use it as like juice and encouragement that maybe that's the solution. So I went to one of the pharmacies, and then I went. They didn't have it. They went to another pharmacy later, didn't have it. A third pharmacy didn't have it. Very discouraged, didn't even have it. So it's been discontinued here in this country, which doesn't make you feel good. I already feel that I have the weirdest problem in the world that no one else has, a dry mouth. What the fuck is that? And then you go around, and the one solution for it, it's so rare that we don't even have the medicine that we use for it, we've discontinued because nobody uses this. Oh, great. That makes me feel great. That makes me feel like I really have a problem, like something that like other people have. Or that makes me feel like, yeah, I am just, it's not a common issue. It makes me feel like I'm so like weird. So that doesn't help. So what I'm doing, and I already feel weird. I'm like, what am I, an old woman with dentures and Sjogren's syndrome, which is an autoimmune disease, which causes dry mouth? What am I? Am I that? No, I'm a young, healthy person. Anyway. So what I'm doing is I have to do all this stuff to get, to sort of like get around the issue. And so I'm getting my prescription delivered via capsule, which is the prescription company that does e-deliveries It does deliveries to your house. I'm getting that sent to a friend in New York who will be coming down to Mexico. So I'm going to try this salivary gland stimulant pill. We'll see if it works with meals because according to her, I got to jumpstart my glands. Is that true? Who knows? Okay, medication update number 2. I've been gluten-free for about 3 to 4 weeks. I've been working with this nutritionist who claims that gut health is now this is a Goop podcast. I try everything to try to help myself. Do I feel a little better the last few days overall? I have had a little bit of progress, I'm not going to lie. But I go to all crazy lengths to try to get any little bit of help and empty out my pocketbook for it. And I don't know, this is wild. This is wild, but this is the journey of this podcast. Is it OCD? Yes, but I go to these doctors, I go to the dentist, and they look at my mouth. They're like, you do have a dry mouth. You do have a problem with your spit being too thick. So, okay, boy, this is all out there in the world. So the only thing that helps is giving a good blowjob. That really gets you going. That really, like I've said before, that needs to be my therapy, is sucking a fat. And when that really gets it, the juice is going. So before my big show on May 9th, if anybody has a huge that can lend me just for the week, should I pay for it? I don't need to because people like my mouth. Oh my God. And I have a nice hairline, so people are into it. It's like distinguished. So anyway, I'm working with this nutritionist I found on the internet who's because I'll tell you more about it later. She specializes. She was quoted as saying like candida is an issue, which is some sort of bacteria in your stomach that can cause you to have maybe possibly symptoms that I have. And so I found her because she looked really good, and she's been delightful. And her basic theory is that gluten. There's a lot of studies that tie gluten to mental health problems. A lot of real studies. She has a lot of PhDs, something like that, a lot of degrees. She talks about them a lot. And she is actually lovely. And I really enjoy working with her. And so it's all about the food that you're eating and how it connects to your mental health. And, first we're on that train. And, whether it helps my dryness or not, this is an interesting place to be. I've never really tried this. And so I haven't had basically any gluten, basically very little sugar in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And I've tried this prebiotic fiber. So the point is we're going to work on your gut health, make you feel good. I'm definitely a little skinnier. I've lost like a kilo or 2. Now I do kilos, sorry. That's probably about 5 pounds. But I also I have a clean digestion. Like I'm not, I have good poops. And okay, don't need to share that. But things are a little better. And so we'll see if that helps your mental health over time. And so that's been interesting to work with her as a coach every week on my diet. It's like a keto diet, basically. It's just like eat as much steak as you want. Eat as much meat as you want. And vegetables. And, yogurt is okay. Limit dairy, but so it's like a meat, vegetables, and have carbs be a low amount of carbs. Kind of works in Mexico because you can have tortilla and corn. It's a very corn-based diet, which doesn't have gluten in it. So being gluten-free in Mexico is a bit easier. You can still have tacos. And what's been interesting about it is, what was I just going to say? Because I was just talking about I just eat steaks. I use I literally, I told my friend, I was like, I go splurge on steak. I go eat rare steaks at different steakhouses in the city. I've had probably 4 steaks. I either cook like meat at home or I go out and I eat steakhouse steak with red wine because I don't have shows every night. And if you don't see me at a show, I'm out alone eating a steak. I just as a side note, one of those nights that I went to this Argentine steakhouse alone, I talked to this guy that was like waiting outside the restaurant in a boot. He was a cute guy, And he was in like he was in a walking boot. And I just said, what's going on with the boot? And he said, do you want to join me for dinner? And he was just a straight man. And they ended up having dinner with a Californian straight man. And nothing interesting happened. I mean, he really had no personality. It was hard. It was good. We had a nice time. He was just very basic. He's 29, liked to travel, try to get to the beach. He got hurt on his foot because he was some dispute in Baja California when he was traveling down to Mexico City before he was traveling down to Mexico City, and he thought somebody was messing with a friend he knew, so he got involved, and then he got knocked out, and he punched somebody, so he thought he broke his wrist, but he didn't, but he did hurt his ankle, so now he's limping around, and we just I don't know, I can't even remember what we talked about, but we sat and had dinner with each other. We both had the same order, ojo de bife, which is a beautiful Argentine steak imported from Argentina. It's not too fatty, but juicy. I don't know what the equivalent cut would be in English, but, Argentine beef is the only good thing that came out of that country. It's a tough country. Half the people are great. Half the people, they can be a little bit delusional. And they can be a little bit, what's the word? Pretentious. And when you're pretentious and you don't got all that, that's not a good combination. But it is a beautiful country, looks-wise, from a geographical standpoint. People-wise, they need some improvement. I'm just kidding. A lot of them are great, but a few of them, they just have a little bit of a pretension to them. And that's our job as Americans. Let us be pretentious. You can't be pretentious because you just don't got it all going on. Wow. Holy crap, Keenan. No, Americans need to work on that too. And so, anyhow, all I do is eat steak. And so, back to the dentist, she actually, at the end of the session, she was like, wink, wink, and she gave me a 10% discount. And she was like, you're the best. So, if you're the best and you're cute and you got a distinguished hairline and you can take a lot of pain in your mouth because you're used to sucking a lot out, then, you're going to get a discount at the dentist. So there you go, gays. Gay bottom bitches, go get your dentist on. Okay. Before we even continue, let's hear from our sponsor for this week. This week's sponsor is body lotion. Did you know, white people, you can just rub in body lotion after you shower and your skin feels better? Unbelievable. Black people and others have been doing it for years and their skin feels amazing. I've started to rub in lotion. As my grandma said, you can't just put it on. You got to really rub it in there. And after you shower, rub it in while you're wet already because that'll help keep the moisture in. This week's sponsor for white people is body lotion. Did you know you can just use body lotion and your skin will feel better and softer? It's really fantastic. You don't even need an expensive brand. Spend $4 on a body lotion. This week's sponsor of Keenan's podcast is body lotion. All right, let's go to our new segment, which is Pop Culture of the Week. I've been watching this show called, what is it? Nobody Wants This. And it's on Netflix with Kristen Bell and Seth from the OC, who I think his name is Adam Brody. And, it's a standard frothy. It's about a rebald podcast host, Kristen Bell, who has a podcast with her sister, who's kind of a Paris Hilton type, who I like, by the way, in the show. And all they do is talk sex, and they talk their failed relationships. And she starts to fall into love with, believe it or not, a rabbi. And that's the twist, that Seth from the OC is actually a rabbi. He's a young, hot rabbi, which is an interesting role. I like that role. it's a standard kind of outsider, Kristen Bell, who's intolerable in the show. I think her name should be Kirsten Bell because she's so intolerable. Kirsten is a much more annoying name than Kristen. She's just picky about everything, and she's just annoying. Like every little thing bothers her. She knows zero about Judaism, like negative zero, which is kind of interesting. Living in LA, which is like you have to live under a rock. So there's a lot of things that sort of incredulous about this show, but it does have its strengths. You know, he like she's so picky. Like he didn't text her for 3 hours once, and she flips out the whole time because it's been a whole 3 hours, which is a little not realistic. 3 hours and like the whole like she's perseverating about it. One time she goes to the synagogue to see him, and to see him give a spiel, which is when he gives his Jewish sermon, and I don't even know what it's called as a half Jew. And then he tells her he has to say goodbye to all his congregants, which takes a long time because he's a hot young rabbi. And he tells her to wait outside for 15 minutes. And she's so insecure. She can't even wait for 15 minutes. Her Paris Hilton type sister convinces her that that's like him ditching her. So she comes pick her up because, you can't be waiting 15 minutes for somebody. That's a sign he doesn't like you. So there's a bit of what you call hyperbole in this series. But the thing that it's a series about, I'll give you a little summary. She's a podcast host with her sister. It's basically a sex podcast, a podcast about her failed relationships. It does seem like a good podcast. They're in the middle of building their career. They're getting some hype on Spotify, just like I am getting some hype on Wix. And that's not a thing. And she has had recently bad relationships, is basically at her bottom, can't find anybody good, can't even stick with anybody, thinks that there's something wrong with everybody she's dating. And then she meets this guy who turns out to be very sweet and is interested in her, who's a cute, curly-haired Seth from the OC, who's Adam Brody. And in episode 2, at the end of episode 1, you realize he's not only cute, but this man is a rabbi. And that's the kind of fun twist. It's fun because rabbis are usually always portrayed in Hollywood as these old, crusty, not like wise, non-attractive, bald sages. However, Seth is this cutie. And he is a rabbi and he is wise, but he's modern and he, is not, stereotypically Jewy in a way that you would be portrayed as maybe in Hollywood as kind of maybe unattractive or maybe very, well, when you come to if you actually came to our synagogue once in a while, you might find out a little something or two. If you actually wore your hutchkippah, you might actually find something good in your life, but you never do. And so I hope one day you'll come back to the synagogue. It's not like that, And so anyway, I'd love to play a young rabbi, by the way. I don't know. I didn't grow up in the synagogue. Really, I grew up going to my friends' bar mitzvahs. And my dad's Jewish, so just FYI, I didn't have a bar mitzvah. Judaism is quite a matrilineal religion. And my mom never converted. And I think there was never a need to because my parents aren't that religious. So weren't religious at all. So I didn't grow up necessarily religious. We just spun the dreidel on Hanukkah and put up the lights to the Christmas tree. And even probably had some dreidels on the Christmas tree. But I just think it would be a really fun role for me to study how to be a rabbi and then to play that role because I obviously look like a rabbi, especially as my hairline gets more distinguished. And so this is a kind of it's a standard rom-com. I can't stand Kirsten. I'm calling her Kirsten. She's picky about everything, but she's okay. Here's where this series is going. First of all, again, it's a bit of a manufactured drama. I almost turned it off multiple times because it was just so trite. But then I'm just like, all right, no, we need something to fall asleep to. And that's just a great compliment for a show. And they included a summer camp in the series as it goes on. summer camp scene. And I love a summer camp scene. You're including a summer camp scene, you got me. Side note, if you ever watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, there's a summer camp episode, and they call it Camp Steiner, which is my last name, which I loved. Oh, my God. So I love a summer camp scene. And the best part was when Kristen Bell arrived at summer camp to spend a night or two with him, because he was doing a sort of like a kumbaya session, a talk to the kids about a religious talk to the kids at the summer camp. And he's called the hot rabbi by the kids. And he is a little unsure how to introduce Kristen Bell, who he brings with him on the weekend. And so he introduces her as a friend. And the little teenage girls get wind of this. And then when she goes over to say hi to them, they make fun of her. And they're like, oh, yeah. When Kristen Bell says she's dating the rabbi, and they're like, yeah, right. Oh, he introduced you as a friend. And there's nothing like teenagers making fun of you to make you feel bad. That cuts so deep. And it seems like they're so honest, because everything a kid says, you're like, it has to be true, because they're just being honest. There's nothing like, so you love it when a teenager makes fun of you. It's a little bit overdone in this series that, because we have this theme in Judaism where the outsider is like someone who's a girl who's not Jewish, like Elaine on Seinfeld. She's a shiksa. She's not Jewish. Who's the shiksa? But it's like kind of a joke. And it's not that. It's a big thing, but I don't think it's as dramatic as they make it in this. In this series, they make all of Seth's family, calling him Seth because he's always going to be Seth from the OC. His whole family, once they see this blonde woman, even see her in the synagogue, his mom comes over and she goes, "Who's the shiksa? Who's the shiksa? Where the shiksa is here? Are you seeing a shiksa?" They kind of overdo it in a way that Jews don't do. We don't do that. We might say like, she's a shiksa, huh? We don't say it in a negative, like stormy, cloudy way. But anyway, this series, it's not a 10 out of 10. But I'll tell you where it's going. Obviously, we'll end with some crisis. Season 2 is already renewed, by the way. It's going to happen. Obviously, this season, I haven't finished it. But it will end with some crisis where they break up, and we'll have to wait for season 2 to see if they can repair their relationship. And there will be an affair between her sister, the Paris Hilton type, and Seth's brother, who's the tall doofus from Veep, who is very funny in this show, Sasha. So that's where that's going. All right, that's the pop culture update of the week. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you relate to any of it, let me know. Follow and review my podcast. This is Keenan. All right, let's go to Weird, Hard, Scary, Stupid for this week. I think one of the things that's kind of weird is that, I get like Instagram guys who are into me who give you the fire emoji when you put on a story, when you post a story. But the thing is that they change over time. Like, where did the old ones go? Like, I used to have guys for years that would just send me messages. There was this like Asian flight attendant who, no matter where I landed in Mexico, he'd be like, "I'm going there next week. Like, can I come?" Or just like, no matter what I posted, it would be like, "You're so hot." And they're gone. I don't know where they went. They're not there anymore. And occasionally they come out of the woodwork. I guess these guys would be called reply guys. I don't want to call them reply guys because it's like that. And I wish I had reply guys who like respond on everything I do, no matter what. That implies I have a big following. I guess I have one or two reply guys. But the interesting thing is they're gone. But if you're masturbating to me, why did you stop? What happened? Can you let me know? Thank you so much. And yet there are other guys who are new that are the first ones to view my story. And they're brand new. They're into it all of a sudden. And they're going to go away. And then is that the cycle? Like they're here for now and then they're gone. But how long will they last and why do they leave? What do they expect from me? I do engage. I do respond. I do say, okay, if you're flying into Guadalajara, I'm not going to be there right now, but maybe later. But I do respond, and I will communicate. But Like, what? Why did you leave? And the ones that are here now, how long will you last? Can I get? Can I know? Can I get like a? Like, give me like a window. When do you lose interest in people? Can you let me know? Is it 4 months? Is it 7 months? What will I do to turn you off? When will you get the ick from me? I don't want to give reply guy ick. Anyway, so that's weird. Okay, let's go to weird number two, which is that I went on a date and I'm dating this guy. We've gone on a couple dates. We're taking it slow for gays. I did meet with the first time we met. It was kind of a grinder situation, and we did hook up. But since then, we have been going on dates, and we haven't even kissed with tongue. We just kiss when we say goodbye. And he's really cute. And let me start with the positive: is that he just thinks I'm funny. He thinks I'm funny just to to when I speak and when I when he excuse me a second. This is a little bit of a issue with the microphone. God damn it. He thinks I'm funny just if I speak. He thinks I'm funny. Just thinks I'm funny. So I don't even have to. I feel like the pressure's off for me to look that good because it's like, I think you want to look good for you're the gays. We get very self conscious about our looks. Me, I have stuff about my hair a little bit or whatever, and I think it's like, okay, he just thinks I'm funny. So that's kind of good. I don't need the looks. But here's the problem. I picked the first date, and of course I pick good restaurants. And so I picked a place that was like charming, not too expensive, Oaxacan food, relaxed at night. He picked the second place, which was not as good. It was just kind of it's a more basic spot for brunch. And also it wasn't as good of a date. And here's what's hard and weird is that the seating wasn't very good. We were like sitting outside, and there were like 4 seats to choose from the bench and the chairs, but none were good options. He was in one corner, so first we sat diagonal from each other. Diagonal, that's strange, but I feel like sitting. I didn't want to look at him directly in the face, so the diagonal was like a little easier. I mean, I do want to look him in the face, but it was just felt like it was like my chair. We were too close to each other. It just felt too much. But then the chair was not that comfortable, and I'm OCD, so I was like, this is not going to be like a good conversation. So I then moved in the middle of the date to sit on the bench, the banquette next to him, and then we're doing that. But then I was like, this is not that great either. And then I moved eventually to the seat next to. But so I was never moved to the seat right across from him. The seating was never good, and that's another hard part with Mexico. They don't do chairs well. I don't know what's going on and why they don't consider it. It's a problem that I'll talk about in a second as well when it comes to picking an Airbnb. Their height of table versus height of chair doesn't correspond. Sometimes you'll have a chair that is low and the table is high. Who thought about this? Nobody thought about it. We need like a good, part of the problem is also probably a height difference between Mexicans and foreigners, but like it's the same with Google Maps. Like they'll tell you like on Google Maps in Mexico that like it'll take you 23 minutes to walk somewhere, but I really takes like 15. I think because people here have shorter legs. Okay, I don't know. Maybe that's just a Google. Maybe I'm just always trying to beat the Google Maps everywhere in the world. But there's like the chair height and the chair doesn't go together. Even if it's a fancy place, it's like why is the table so tall? This is uncomfortable. You could have thought about this. Anyway, so I was just like never settled during the date with my OCD, thinking that I needed a better seat. So that was kind of a negative. That was kind of hard. And he was sick. He was literally going to throw up the whole time. So I was OCD and he was vomiting internally. And that was the whole date with him like wanting to literally, I mean, I saw his face. It was like almost he wanted to be green. Like I applaud him for coming to see me, even though he wasn't feeling well. But he was having trouble keeping it down, and I was having trouble staying in the same spot. And that's an interesting combination for a date. We will have, I think, another date, and I think I will pick the place with good seating that matches the tables. What's hard? So we've done the weird. We're transitioning to hard. They love documentation here. We're just going to go rapid pace through the rest of the weird, hard, scary, stupid. Like I went to go, if I tried to open a bank account here as a non-resident, they're like, go back. You need your resident card. You can't open a bank account without your residency. Go get that. If you want if you want other things, for example, like I tried to open a new cell phone account with Telmex, which is easy. It's just a cell phone account. They said I needed a residency card to open a cell phone number, which I'm literally paying you for the cell phone number. It's like I'm not sure I get that one so much. I went to the pharmacy with a prescription from a doctor for an anti-anxiety pill, and all written out. They checked out everything. They checked the date. They check everything very closely for controlled substances. The regulator of controlled substances got a lot more strict. And not every pharmacy even carries controlled substances anymore. And controlled substances could just be like an anti-anxiety pill. You know, I've told a separate story. If you check my Substack, I have a separate story about the Mexican feds stopping me in a Puebla train station after a dog sniffed marijuana on me because, and then they questioned my pills, saying that I was carrying around controlled substances around the country. Meanwhile, it was like buspirone, which is like a very, very low dose of like a very non-addictive anti-anxiety. And they stopped me for an hour claiming that I need to carry my prescription around the country. It was absurd. And they never caught the marijuana because they're stupid. And they just didn't really check. They didn't believe me. They thought I was like trafficking controlled substances around the country. Yes, that's what I need to be doing. That's someone who looks like me. You know, it needs to be trafficking a small bottle of pills around the country. That's how I'm making a lot of money in your country. I'm going to make $50 or maybe $100, and that's the key. You really stopped me there. You really stopped a crime. Anyway. They asked for documentation for everything here. So the pharmacy was asking me, looking at the prescription, and then they're like, we can't fill this prescription. You have to go back to bring a documentation. Like you bring your ID. And I showed them my New York State driver's license wasn't good enough. I had to go back to my place and bring them back my passport. And they had to register that. Anyway, they love documentation in Mexico. And they love rules. They love documentation, which for a gringo, for someone who's American, Mexicans loving documentation, not something we've heard before. They're not known for loving documentation. They're not known as the most documented people. Okay. So moving on to the next hard is just finding an Airbnb. None of the Airbnbs have everything. Like, they're all flawed, every single one. Can we have an Airbnb? I look around, half of them don't have a desk. The amount of people that work from home and you don't have a desk and a chair, I don't get it. All you need is a desk, and not a desk that looks like it's never been used and with like a huge shelf that's like underneath it so that it would hit your legs. You know, a huge drawer. No, just make it a good desk or a table with a chair. And I'm looking around, I'm like, all you need is a dedicated workstation. It's not hard. This Airbnb costs $1,500 a month without a desk. And a TV and a comfortable couch. That's it. It's not hard to nail it. And none of them have a stocked kitchen. Almost none of them have the following 4 items. Stocked kitchen, TV, comfortable couch, desk with a chair. That's all you need, honey. I don't even need air conditioning. There's so much I don't need. Come on. And this is a very privileged thing to say, but like sometimes you need an Airbnb. All right, that was hard. Let's move on quickly to scary. When I had a guy over, very limited. I'm not slutty these days. I had a guy over, and he looked at all my pill bottles in my house, in my this glass-covered Airbnb, and he's like, "You have a lot of pills." I knew that was going to happen, and that's the thing. Oh, first of all, I told him, I was like, "No, that's okay. They're all multivitamins, and they're all empty. I've used all of them already." No, actually, but the thing is, I kept them. I didn't put them away because I want someone to see all my crazy at first. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. I'm Kirsten Bell in Don't Tell Mom the babysitter's dead. No, I'm Kirsten Bell in Y tu mamá también. I'm Kirsten Bell in How I Met Your Mother, another cheesy ass flick. No, I'm Kirsten Bell in Nobody Wants This because nobody wants me because I'm a demanding cunt. Um, Sorry, Kristen. But seem I crazy at first? You know, go ahead. You got to know I'm taking a lot of pills. It's true. Some of them are just like magnesium, which my new because that's I'm now seeking the holistic person who's getting me on gluten free, and she's putting me on natural things that can boost my mood. Because let me tell you something: the psychiatrists and the psychologists, all their stuff, it's not working. So let's see if we can eat steak and if steak will work. I should have pills of steak. I should have pill bottles full of red juices that I drain from cow blood. What's that? Oh no, I'm just carrying. Sorry, I have to take my daily. I ordered a bunch of cow blood off Amazon. Actually, no, cow's not good for you. It's goat's blood. I got it from the state of Hidalgo in Mexico. I imported in for 1,000 pesos a month. I'm gonna drink my goat's blood. I'm telling you, in 7 episodes, you're gonna be listening to this podcast, and instead of aloe vera juice, oranges, or probiotic powder, I'm gonna be drinking sheep's blood. And then and my date that's gonna come over is gonna be well, we found a title for this episode, sheep's blood. My date's gonna be like, what's that? I'm like, don't worry, that's just for my mental health. Sheep's blood is just it's for my vitamin D. I have to make sure I get enough turmeric, so I have to be having sheep's blood for my own mental health. That's very good for your anti-anxiety. Is goat's testicles. That's actually what you take. So that it's there's a direct link. There's one study out of New Zealand that showed if you drink enough goat testicle cum, you can decrease how much your amygdala stays on a loop and is obsessed over the same thoughts. The people who are having goat's cum in New Zealand have also gotten rid of all their OCD. Okay, moving on. I want them to see my crazy. Here's the final in the WHSS, Weird, Hard, Scary, Stupid section. By the way, Weird, Hard, Scary, Stupid is from the Comedy Bible, written by Judy Carter. She said if you want to generate material, just think about something that happened in the last day that was weird, that was hard, that was scary, and that was stupid. And then you write it down, and then maybe you get jokes premises from there. So kudos to Carter. Never met her, but I love her. Here we go, baby. By the way, it's a podcast by the funniest comedian you know. It's an OCD and anxiety podcast, but it's funny. This is Keenan. All right, let's go to weather on the 8th. Just kidding. This is Satirius Johnson. It's welcome to WNYC. Of course, it's now 39 degrees in Central Park. There's a slight wind, and I haven't actually had sex with my boyfriend in 12 years because he's got the ick from me because all I do is very slowly and calmly talk about the weather. All right, now we're back. So what was stupid? I was wearing this vintage shirt that I was wearing at the club the other night. It's like a women's shirt, but it's like probably my best shirt. It's like blue with like some geometric patterns, and it just looks like it's like a little bit like got some sort of indigenous feel to it. It's nice. It's buttoned down. And this woman on the dance floor, she's from Quebec. She goes, "Are you French?" C'est français, français. Sous c'est français, français. Sous c'est chanson, so many chansons. You like a pomfret? And I was like, what? Why? She's like, you look so good. Oh, you look so good. You look so good. I was like, no, I'm not. She's like, but why? But parce que. How are you not French? She said I looked so good and my fashion was so good that she couldn't believe I wasn't French. That was pretty stupid of her. I mean, I could be French, of course. Could be anything. I could be Greek. But I thought that was pretty stupid. All right, guys. Fine. I'll leave you with one little bonus. This is a premise that's not a joke yet. This is our final section where we talk about jokes. These are not jokes. This is nothing yet, but I'll just kind of throw it out there in the sheep's blood episode. Here's a premise, a joke. It's not a joke yet, but I'm really tired of the term transplant when it comes to New York City. It happened during the pandemic where people are like, these transplants are coming over here. They're not even New Yorkers. How to tell someone's a transplant and not a New Yorker? And then you have the people themselves from Ohio that being like, as a transplant, I'm not an authority to talk about New York, but I have to say that the croissants at La Madame Chocotung in Deep Bushwick were one of the best croissants I've had. The thing is, New York is not about transplants. Like, New York is about coming to the city, and if you love it and you work there and you make it there and it feels home to you, you're a New Yorker. You're no longer a transplant. And so I just don't like the term, especially as someone who grew up outside the city and then New York became my home. I'm a New Yorker. Like, I guess if you want to, don't have like some trepidation about being an outsider coming into New York. If you love the city, you work there, you have a job there, you have an apartment there, you're making this work for years and you love it there, you're not a transplant. You're not. And sorry, I guess this is a take. This is a Subway take. You're not. You're a New Yorker now. That's what makes New York, New York. It's a city of immigrants. So if you want to identify as a transplant and stay that way, which I think some of you do, stay that way. And you can if you want to stay separate. But I think the only thing I don't like about it is I think there are people who move to the city from far away and they probably love it. And now they're stuck and they're like feeling like, oh, can I even call myself a New Yorker? If you're a gatekeeper of the term New Yorker, you're not a New Yorker. Sorry. Great. You grew up here. I'm so proud of you. I am beyond proud of you that you grew up in Queens. Well done. And no, I say that honest. I mean, I say that with complete honesty, by the way. I think it's, I grew up as someone who grew up in Westchester, I would come to the city with city friends. There's nothing like growing up in the city. You learn so much. You become smarter, streetwise. You understand diversity, but if you're going to, and you have a leg up, I think, and you have a really interesting upbringing. But if you're going to brag about it all the time, it's almost as bad as someone who's scared and calling themselves a transplant. Yeah, you're a New Yorker. Lots of us are New Yorkers. And don't gatekeep the term. That's not very New Yorker. New Yorker is like, yo, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Come on in if you could do it, because it's hard. And people who can make it there, frankly, deserve respect. You can pay the rent in New York. You can get a job in fashion, in marketing, in sports, in whatever, and you're making it there. Oh, really? Are you going to call Derek Jeter a transplant? You're a transplant, Derek Jeter. You can't fucking talk about New York. Shut the fuck up. No, you don't do it because he's a celebrity and you're empty inside. You have none of these people have any moral backbone and moral consistency, because if a celebrity comes to New York, they're like, we love you. Please go eat our hot dog. Oh my God, he was seen eating a hot dog. He's a transplant. We don't care. We don't care because he liked my comment. Everywhere in the world, it's like that. Same down here in Mexico. I could post something about what I think about Mexico City, and everyone's like, you'll get some comments. If I post, you could also just go home and go back to where you came from, gringo, and stop being a gentrifier. But if a celebrity comes down here, like I saw a post from like this Australian celebrity who's like what's that called? Magic Mike from Australia, and he like posted in a hat, and he goes, "I'm Mexican now," in a sombrero. He got a gazillion likes. It's not going to get any go back to where you came from, because he's a celebrity. And Mexicans, like everyone in the world, obsessed with celebrity. Same in New York. So I'm going all over the place right now. But in any case, I never liked this transplant thing, and that's my take. If you want to embrace it, go ahead, but you don't have to. And if you're a New Yorker and all you do is brag about the fact that you're a native New Yorker, I'm over it. It's not. If you need to talk it up so badly, you're overcompensating. Okay, guys, that wraps up today's episode for Wednesday, April 9th. It'll probably come out Thursday the 10th or Friday the 11th. Here's the deal. I'm filming a comedy special in Spanish. That's not my native language. Do you get that? Does anybody understand? And it's happening. And I'm doing it all doing all the best that I can, and I'm practicing for it, and it's going to be a great night. I have set design. I have somebody coming in. Give you a little preview of the set design. The backdrop is going to be like sort of inspired a little bit by something classically Mexican. Mexican. You could call them not billboards, but like signs you might find in the barrio, in the neighborhood. And it's inspired by that. And it's going to be colorful. And I have a designer working on it. I have 4-camera production coming in. It's going to be at Beer Hall, which is the best, coziest place to watch stand-up. It's not a normal place to watch stand-up. It's kind of cavernous. It's a big rectangle. It feels like home. It's kind of like, for me, the room really pops when comedy's going good in that room because it's small enough and there are seats everywhere. And, you have a little bit of this. If you're sitting from the side, get there early, because if you're sitting from on one side, you don't see it as well as if you're sitting in the center. But, that's May 9th. Tickets are on KeenanSteiner.com. Just tell anybody you know in Mexico. Or if I were you, fly down here to see it. Are you kidding me? It's a live special taping of me in Spanish. Just only if you speak Spanish, because it's the only way you're going to laugh. But I'm so excited about it. It's at KeenanSteiner.com. If you like this podcast, please review it on Apple Podcasts. We don't have any reviews yet. I don't know why. It's crazy. But whatever. I'll just keep doing it anyway. You got to keep doing it. That's the one lesson I got to tell you guys. Do it for yourself. I'm doing this for myself. This is not for approval for anyone else. This is not to get anything from anyone. This is because this is a good outlet for myself. All my outlets were in other areas. We're in trying to do stand-up specifically, which is not always a win. Stand-up, really hard, and sometimes, especially when I've had the issues that I've had with mental health, and it's not going well, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket, put your eggs in some other comedy baskets. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. And, of course, I'm also doing it to sort of put my OCD and anxiety out there in the world, something that brings me a lot of shame, something, I have an issue with my mouth being really dry on stage and obsessing over it, and some of my performances get affected by that. I don't know who to tell. I'm embarrassed to tell other comedians. I'm embarrassed to tell the world. And I'm going to share it now to shed my shame and make myself feel embarrassed. And make it so that, over time, okay, maybe my brain cares less about this because I've shared it with so many more people that my brain doesn't value it as much. That's what exposure is. That's why it's called comedian behavioral therapy, because cognitive behavioral therapy, part of that is exposure therapy. And exposures, it's all about changing your brain. And the more you expose yourself to what makes you anxious, do the thing that makes you anxious, and keep experiencing it rather than shying away from it. And let your body feel it and run through that montaña rusa, go through that, which is the word for roller coaster in Spanish, and let that anxiety get high. Eventually it does come down. And as it comes down to medium or low, your brain then knows that it's medium or low. And then your brain feels like you can do this again because this is not such a big deal. And you keep repeating those exposures over time, whether that's doing a podcast or selling cars, if you are a salesman who are afraid to cold call people. It's about doing it over and over again and decreasing that anxiety. So this was a podcast, folks. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. The amount of fun I had, I cannot tell you on the Sheep's Blood episode. I had so much fun. This is one of my favorite episodes. Please share it with a friend who wants to laugh or has mental health problems or both. Share it with people. If something struck you as funny, they can just tell them to listen to a certain part of it. Please rate and review. I love you guys so much. This was a podcast by the funniest comedian you know. This is Keenan Steiner. This was Comedian Behavioral Therapy. Guys, you have a great week. I love you all so much. Bye-bye.